Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table. Welcome to Money on Tap. My name's Seth Krussman.
And I'm Ben Brayshaw.
And I'm Eric Morton.
Hey, Eric, it is so good to have you with us today. Thanks for joining us on Money on Tap.
Happy to be here.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And if you're wondering what in the world are these guys going to even start talking about, we're going to be talking about money, and we're going to talk about money in the news, and we're going to have some darn fun with it. Darn it. So
at least one of us is.
Why don't we jump right in, darn it, into money in the news.
Wow, Seth. Sounds like we're going to have fun with you today. That's interesting.
Yeah, when have you ever not had fun with me? No, don't answer that question.
You have an open mic and an opportunity. You want me not to take that? Seth, our first article today, Improbable Simulation Tech Could Help Us Build Better Pandemic Models. Well, I got to tell you, with all that's going on in the technology space and all the development that's happening, this is crazy because we have set up an entire society sitting at home to test out this theory.
Wow.
This is pretty cool. I mean, so what's going on is, I thought you were going to comment on it, Seth. Sorry about that. But
I know you're stuck back there. I wonder, I'm running scenarios through my head when we weren't having fun together because it seemed like you had a lot to say. So you got me stuck back there.
I'm sorry.
Get me caught. I'm caught up now. Let's go.
You can call us at 855-226-8551. I'll give you a full dissertation of all the times with Seth. So, COVID-19, the technology world, and how can we utilize this to create models for future pandemic issues? And that's what's going on. They're creating simulation technology and allowing gamers to test out all the different pieces. And they're using all this data to pour into systems to better and more accurately predict how it's going to impact our world. It's a super clever idea.
It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing because, you know, we kind of have some of those go-to or the places that we would expect technology to step up or healthcare sciences to step up and make a difference in what's happening right now. But to hear that the world of gaming, and this company in specific builds worlds that, gamers walk around and do whatever in, but to be able to use that to help out countries to determine, if then scenario, if we shut down the country and we keep everybody inside, what happens? Well, this is what this is built to do, is to help understand and make decisions for the best probable outcome.
And if you're thinking about how this could be used, it's like the version of the Sims pandemic edition.
That's great.
Essentially,
that's
only
a great illustration.
Way larger than just that. You're populating it with 66 million agents as digital stand-ins for people, and they have movement patterns, working routines, social networks. They can do all of these things in the gaming arena. Unbelievable.
So this company, British Unicorn Improbable, specializes in the simulation and gaming technology, which they are literally driving tons of information with these different things. We combine scientific modeling, artificial intelligence, and data analytics to create essentially a platform oriented towards the simulation of real-world environments. I mean, we could have used this like 3 months ago. How would our world be different right now?
But we have it today. But we do have it today. That's the good news.
Well, as long as it still says stay home. we would be like, okay, we did the right thing.
Second article that we took a look at here was, again, from Wired Magazine. That was where the previous one was actually coming from. But this is about AI, again, uncovering a potential treatment for COVID-19 patients. And the software here suggested an arthritis drug might quell out-of-control immune response that damages the lungs. And now it's being brought to a clinical trial. So I mean, this is something I've heard about, or, when I say, oh, there's a possibility another drug out there is going to combine with that other drug is going to have some results. So that's nothing new. But what is it that's new to us about this?
Well, I think the thing is that this same type of drug it has very similar attributes to that hydroxychloroquine that Trump's been talking about, which is an anti-inflammatory. That drug is also used for arthritis, which this drug is as well. So it's
I was wanting you to try to pronounce the name of the drug. That's why I just kind of left off where I did.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I was actually hoping you were going to, because I was like, hold on, let me pull it up again. It was, where was that, Seth?
Here, I'll take a stab at it. Okay, it's Eli Lilly, which markets an arthritis drug known as baricitinib. Baricitinib. Not so bad. Maybe?
Baricitinib, I'd say. Real close, though.
Yeah, brand name Olumiant.
It's baricitinib, guys. Come on.
Oh, all right.
But it's just interesting that this has very much similar attributes and handles similar ailments currently that the other one does as well. So there's clearly some sort of anti-inflammatory piece that's driving this, because they both are. And it's just looking to go through the testing side of it. So if you haven't heard of this and we just saved your lives because you're a COVID patient and you're listening to your podcast, glad to have helped. The testing that has to happen, this still needs to be approved. So there's some stuff behind that, Seth, I think that they're dealing with.
Very much so. Yeah.
The good news is there's some things on the horizon to help. And when you're sitting there at your wit's end, I can only imagine. I can't, feel those feelings for people and families that are being touched by this, but having something to be able to treat it, even if the testing isn't completed yet, it's like, let's have these last ditch efforts available for some folks to get some relief.
Well, that's a great point, Eric, because with the 80% death rate on these ventilators, which is astronomically high for a ventilator. I was told that if you go on a ventilator, statistically, it's like a 50-50 chance you're going to survive in life, but there's actually an 80% death rate on a ventilator with COVID, which is scary. And so, I mean, if you put somebody on a ventilator and you're not willing to try some sort of medication or give some sort of, why not? I mean, I'm going to be like, give it to me. I'll give it a shot at it. And what does it matter at this point?
Right. So how did this work in terms of the AI piece? So they created a kind of a search engine on steroids. It combines drug industry data with nuggets of gleaned scientific research papers. So it's pulling and extracting all of this data and using all the software to, identify different potential scenarios and the likelihood that those could work together. So it's taking a huge amount of the research and the data and the analytics out of the personal side of it and bringing the most probable ideas to the surface. And I think that's also what's combining multiple of these companies coming together, trying to figure out how do they, use all of their resources together to find some solutions. And, the outcomes could be pushed through much more quickly right now too. And a lot of the red tape that's typically there, I think they're starting to be able to find ways around that to get these to a solve.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was, which we don't have an article specifically, so money in the news, but this is definitely news, is the SBA PPP loan.
Yeah.
What the heck, man? This is crazy.
Can of worms there. Do we have two shows to just kind of stay here and camp out and have a discussion?
Well, I got to tell you, some people are going to be unhappy to hear this, and some people will be happy to hear it. But we've been able to keep all of our employees employed. We're not laying anyone off. We're actually in the process of probably doing the things that no one wants to know you're doing, but we're allowing our employees to bring their kids to work. We have to be open. We got letters from the Department of Treasury guys. I mean, we got to be here. We got to be available. We have to be around. I know that, Eric, you've brought your portion of the business home, which is great, and so forth. But our headquarters, we need people there. We have kids in the conference room. We're teaching them. Our staff are going back and forth, rotating. We're actually looking for a tutor to bring in. We're going to hire a tutor, and you know what? We're going to use the funds from the SBA to help fund all of this, to hire people to do this, to take care of them. I'm still confused why the governor of New Hampshire closed schools till the end of the year when they're talking about opening work back up in a couple weeks. Because is every company going to do what we're doing?
I think it's national for the most part. That's what we're experiencing here too. There seems to be, there's kind of a temperature out there of what people are thinking and what an appropriate response would be. And that seems to be what the line that most people are towing as far as, telling people this is going to be the rest of the year for school. And maybe that is the safest bet.
But the kids are the ones that are the least susceptible to it. So if you have a child that is susceptible, they should stay home. But the rest of the people who have kids, you can't leave an 8-year-old or 6-year-old or 9-year-old, 12-year-old home alone all day.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here, Ben.
Sorry.
You're trying to get the rest of the show in.
You're right.
On the SBA thing.
You're right. Okay, so the SBA side. So we were fortunate enough to get the SBA loan, and we were going to hire some new people, and we're going to help our employees' kids. We're going to get people educated. We're going to get the work done. We're moving forward, and that's exciting. Now, a lot of people have not gotten the SBA piece.
I was going to say that's the truth, because banks around here that we've been talking with and in discussion with our clients got right in there, and they got their applications in and were very timely, and everything was, all the boxes were checked. And they're getting notices now this week that the bank is out of money. So what are they doing? What should they do? Because a lot of decisions have been made already about that money coming in, how they're going to do the exact same thing that we're doing, where we're supporting the initiatives and the reality of our employees being either working from home with their kids or being in the office with their families and trying to make it through this time.
I was part of a small business group on Facebook, and a couple of friends of mine that are branch managers at a couple banks were on there kind of giving people a play-by-play live, all hours of the night, what's happening. And, the folks that had the heads up of when things were going live are the ones that are receiving the money now. It seems like there isn't any judging as far as what type of business it is that gets the money. I don't think any of that was happening. It was just whether or not you qualified, you had a business account with the banks. I know that they were supposed to be able to take any application from anybody, not just the folks that did business with them, but they were prioritizing those. And when they prioritize those, I think there's going to, when all said and done, I think there may end up being some issues that popped up here. But if you think about how quickly people did get money, and I was really skeptical, it's amazing how that happened that quickly. But now there's a huge amount of folks that aren't getting anything until potentially another round of this will be opened up.
Or can't even apply, basically, with that bank prioritizing clients and customers. I mean, not everybody is a client of the SBA lending banks out there. Mm-hmm. And they shut off applications and opportunities to apply and just put out a waiting list for, well, I guess you might get to apply if we ever can get to the people that we already have here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, there's a lot of trouble with, if you don't have an SBA banking relationship, which we did have, and we had our application in the day before it was due, and then redid it the next day when the Treasury changed the rules. We were on the front end of this thing, and we just got approved like 2 days ago. So it ran out of money last night or yesterday, and So I mean, it was a hard fought struggle. So if you weren't in on the front end, you were really kind of struggling. Being in the financial side, yeah, we probably had a little bit of a leg up, right? I mean, we know what's going on. We're evaluating this stuff. We're reviewing it for all sorts of reasons. I was helping different. I mean, I've been helping different people randomly that I knew, friends who had small businesses, saying, "Hey, you qualify for this loan," and they're like, "Yeah, maybe we can meet in a couple of days." I'm like, "You don't have time. You need to do it now." So yeah. I know there's people who missed it because they didn't really take it seriously. I also talked to one of our IT providers and talked to them, and he called me back and thanked me. Said, "You were right. I got it. I got the loan." So there are some people that really have gotten it. That's exciting to hear. But there was a lot of struggling companies who have not, and they didn't have the help. They didn't have the knowledge of what they were really eligible for, and no way to evaluate. I mean, they're communicating all this stuff, but the average Joe doesn't know what they're talking about. Like, oh, I'm not I'm not eligible for this. I'm not eligible for unemployment. Well, they changed all those rules. Now you can be self-employed and be eligible for unemployment. That's the first time ever, I think. So,
and also the other thing is, even if average Joe didn't know what to submit, the other thing was the banks had no idea how they were really even supposed to track and make sure that people were following rules after the money's given. That's going to be determined. That's going to be the big piece, is now the money's been handed out, but what's going to be the pullback? What's going to be the audit look like? And if they're going to be able to do those types of things, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
That's a good point. And then also it's 8 weeks, 10 weeks. We could all, I don't know what the economy looks like, 12 weeks or 14 weeks out. You keep everybody employed for another 10, 12 weeks. And then you're like, you know what? Business is nil not returned. Those people get laid off again. The SBA thing is definitely it's a bizarre thing. I don't know if they're going to do another tranche. I don't know if we can afford to do another tranche. $2.2 trillion. We're going trillion after trillion after trillion before, we're just going to bankrupt ourselves. There's always that fear. And, there's just a lot of questions around this whole thing that I just don't add up to me across the board. What do you think, Seth?
I don't know. It depends on the moment, because that's sometimes how quickly things change. It's upsetting, frankly, to hear that $2.2 trillion is now gone. The banks had that available, don't. There's still a lot of people that need funding. There's possibly an overfunding happening, and some rollback potentially. I heard somebody speculate $20 billion would be hypothetically what that could look like as far as the overfunding to some of the institutions and businesses so far. So if they don't roll out something more, I feel there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be extraordinarily upset about the circumstances and how this happened and how it was handled. Great in some ways, but not so great maybe in the others. And I also think you have realistically, we have a president right now that's pretty motivated to keep the office. And if you want people voting for you, you probably do what you can to make sure that money comes through or is made available, or at least the opportunity is made available, because right now there isn't an opportunity. So that's what I think is possibly in the background motivating some levers to get pulled down the road here shortly.
I think you're right, Seth. I think you're right. I think there is. My gut is they're going to do a smaller tranche. They're probably going to dissipate it, probably change the rules a little bit, try to get everybody a little something. Like if you were supposed to get 10,000 or 50,000 or 200,000, it'll be 25-30% of that would be joy in everyone's ears. Versus not getting anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they change the rules for a second tranche and say, this is what we can do. These are all the applications that are in, and divide that money up appropriately. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do that. That would make sense to me.
And I will say some of the stats, at least from KeyBank that we used, that first week it was open, they had 30,000 applications to process the following weekend. And that's a lot. That is a lot. So that money getting used up pretty quickly from what they were allotted. I actually didn't get to save it, but I looked at how much each bank was getting. And it was pretty interesting to see the top 20 and how much. Curious how they came up with those numbers. But the folks that did get the applications in before they shut it off, I know that in the past 3 days, even though they said they ran out of money, their applications were in. And so they're actually getting it as well. So it's now, maybe let's do another round for the folks that didn't get in that first time.
Yeah. So you're saying, Eric, that there are people out there that have their applications in and they haven't gotten a yes or no, that you're just sitting out there waiting to hear still.
Well, a lot of them are getting a notice that says your application was accepted. You will be getting funds, even though you've heard that there's no money, kind of like a reassuring.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's a bunch of folks that are getting those. I just got an alert moments ago from another person locally here that got it.
Oh, that's good.
Well, that's going to do it for us in Money in the News. We'll be right back. So hang tight. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. When we come back, we are going to be talking about some investable ideas. How do we set ourselves up for success right now? Hey, we'll be right back. You're listening to Money on Tap.
Hi, my name is Seth Krussman, partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. One of the biggest concerns and largest expenses people face today is taxes. Without thoughtful planning, taxes can destroy future retirement dollars, eliminating the possibility of a timely retirement or dreams of what you want retirement to look like. If you're like most people, you're getting closer and closer to retirement, and you may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. Will my income be enough? Will rising taxes force me to give up my dreams? How does inflation factor into all of this? These are real concerns, and you're not alone. Putting a plan around your financial future is what we do. If you have questions when it comes to your financial security, and if you're looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group, 855-226-8551. It's time for you to start getting answers to your questions. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, Brayshaw Financial has offices across the country. We'd love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us. Call us at 855-226-8551. 855-226-8551.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are having some fun today, and I don't know if that's because we've all been not all of us, Ben, have been, but a lot of us have been working from home, and maybe need to get outside a little bit more to, get some endorphins running. But this is our chance to have a crack at it with you and talk about what's going on right now in our world. And we love to get into the money and get into the investments and get into the way that we can be successful moving forward. And what do we see moving forward looking like? Any ideas out there? Anybody, please tell me what it is that we're going to do next.
Well, Seth, I'm gonna stick a fork in this Corona thing. Is where I really want to do. I want to understand what's going on with Corona, and there's a lot of our listeners that want to too. And I'm not in the far left camp of this thing, and I'm not in the far right camp, I don't think. But I will tell you that I think Corona's real. So for our listeners who are one side or the other, I do believe Corona's real. I do believe that we do have a number of people who are suffering deeply, and our prayers are with you through this time. I do think that our government, I think that our infectious disease people, I think there's a huge potential numbers thing that I need some explanation around. I'm looking at different things. I was just reading an article that was in Boston 25 News, right out of Boston, in the South End, Southie. They had tested 397 people, homeless people, and that didn't have any symptoms, didn't have anything, just homeless people living. They wanted just a random sampling. They found out that 146 of them people tested positive for Corona. Not one sign.
No symptoms.
No symptoms, no signs, had antibodies to Corona already.
No idea how long they'd had it either.
Yeah. And no problems whatsoever at all. And it just says not a single one had any symptoms. I mean, the shocking thing about that is that's, I mean, you're talking over 30% of the people had corona, had no idea. And honestly, I got to tell you, I think I had it. Eric was saying he thought he had it in January. I think I had it in early February. I was having a breathing problem. I ended up driving to Convenient MD, and then I decided not to go in, but I thought I had pneumonia or something. So I wouldn't be surprised that we don't have more antibodies out there than are really believed. And I know that Abbott Labs had started their testing in California and found that there was a large population of people who had antibodies as well, and were shocked to have found that. Now, what I really think is difficult to understand in all the numbers, I know we're going to talk about those numbers, Seth, and I'm actually excited to get into those, but we're only testing people who are primarily showing symptoms. So That's really a problem. We're not testing the general population. I don't know how to do the math on this, but the more people we test and the more people that we have come up positive, have no symptoms, our death tolls, our percentages drop way down. I mean, we lost 80,000 people to the flu last year. We've had more people die of the flu this year than we have had corona. So there's definitely some numbers things that I'm really not sure that I fully understand the magnitude that we're dealing with, that we had to shut our country down the way we have, unless they're just mistaken and they took all the precautions they absolutely had to. Do you guys have a different thought on this?
I'm right there with you. It's all about getting the data and understanding it. We don't have it yet, and we will. The more and more we get of that data, then we'll be prepared for the future. Honestly, I think that's good. There's a lot of positive signs. I'll say that I ended up giving blood about 2 weeks ago because they had a dire need for it. Part of it was I was thinking, okay, if I do this, they're going to test, eventually they may test that or keep some data from that to see if I did actually have corona in January. I haven't heard back yet, but I really do think I did have it. I think a lot of people would be surprised that probably December, a lot of folks had it, just didn't know. And then also were misdiagnosed with the flu, just the normal flu at that time. So there's going to be a lot of convoluted data on this back end Monday morning quarterback for sure.
So here's my thoughts on, what do we have access to right now? Because we're getting slices, of what's available to us, and to go out and to take I'm really grateful to hear that there's testing available to be able to get out into the community and test an underserviced, typically population of our community, the homeless, and there's a real need there, I'm sure, and one that hasn't even been realized. But to get out there and test it and to see what those numbers are coming back at is incredible to hear. Because what we're able to see right now, I mean, if you were to kind of take a look at the run rate on these charts and what's been happening with the corona numbers, currently sitting at around 2 million over, really. But the death rate at around 6.46%. And it's been increasing, and looks like it winds up somewhere close to 10. That's kind of what I thought. Honestly, that's when I started looking at the numbers and how they were working out, where we'd probably wind up. But the reality of that is that is not a whole population, because those are the numbers that are coming through in the critical circumstances that are being treated at the hospital and at that level. And of those, that's what we're seeing those numbers starting to shape up as. And so it's a much smaller part or segment of the population that those numbers are being driven through. And if we were to take a look at almost any of our data that we wanted to try to run through and figure out, well, what's going on here? If we were to go into scenarios in the hospital, I think, and try to figure out in those critical care units what's happening, like you were saying, the ventilators, Ben, 50-50 chance. I didn't realize anybody going on a ventilator was a 50-50 shot. And by the ventilator now, I mean those people that were previously on ventilators, now possibly having these other circumstances that are complications. That's what those numbers look like, and that would be alarming. And I don't think that's the lens that we're usually given to be able to look at our world and evaluate what is happening.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. And I think what I'm really ticked about is I hear this hydrochloroquine thing by Trump, and you got other countries talking about it and things going on, and like you said, Eric, if someone's going to die, I'm going to try it. And I was listening to one newscast, and some Democrat out in Michigan or something had used it, saved her life. Her doctor came on and was like, the anti-inflammation piece of this is what's driving health. I mean, when you're going to shove a ventilator down somebody and you found out that it's not a 50-50, but it's an 80-20 chance of survival, I don't care who you are, Nancy Pelosi. Keep your mouth shut and let people try whatever they can to get this stuff done. I mean, we're here about saving lives, not about your political agendas. I mean, the medication should not be about a politics. If it's a potential that it can work, we should be testing it. I mean, they were like, well, it's an unproven drug. Corona's unproven. There's nothing proven about any of it. We're going to figure this out. Try every drug. I mean, it doesn't matter to me at that point. If you're going to die, you're going on a ventilator. Give that person every shot. Don't try to, stifle potential positive news. That's what's killing me. I don't understand, and I'm not a doctor. I mean, I have no background here at all, but I don't understand what the antibiotics are all about. If this is a virus, what do antibiotics have to do with this? I mean, I just want one person on the news to acknowledge that antibiotics don't work for viruses, and what is the chemical reaction between hydrochloroquine and whatever antibiotic they're shoving with it. Are they mixing together that's creating it? Because we need better communication about what's being successful, because there's not a lot of it out there, and it's irritating as a listener. Like, we need to hear what things we should be doing, what health events, probiotics we need to be taking, anti-inflammatory natural things, whatever it is. We don't have anything medically to really combat this well until you're like ready to die. So how do we combat it as a health scenario here in our country? Those are the things that go through my head.
Yep.
So if you take a look at some of the information out there, like John Hopkins, the COVID-19 Dashboard Center for Systems Science Engineering is the title there. John Hopkins University. It's the world map that you can take a look at. These total confirmed right now, and this is where we're at today, is 2.2 million. And you can break it down and take a look at different countries and different areas even of countries if they've got reportables on that. In the U.S. is right around 87,000. And then I can compare, Ben, your backyard there, New England or New Hampshire, different areas of New Hampshire to Oregon, and how are the numbers working out there. But I think some of the things that are interesting in this is if you were to take a look at that section over on daily cases, we can start to actually get a little bit better bird's eye view of what is that looking like, and have we started to flatten the curve? And that would be a different piece, I think, on here, which is the logarithmic map here that we can take a look at. And I would say yes, but in comparison to another country that has approached this from a totally different perspective in how they've dealt with it, I fail to see a whole lot of difference in the numbers, which makes me wonder if what we're doing is in fact what's flattening the curve, or is there something else? Because really, China's about the only one out there, and South Korea is about the only one out there that I can see had a really early grasp on this thing but they had the control to be able to, I think, do something differently.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Seth. I think you're right. I think we are flattening this curve. Have you guys heard when I originally heard the original studies of 100,000 to 250,000 deaths that, Fauci was talking about and all of that, my understanding was those are the death tolls that were predicted with social distancing and all the, yes. That was the way it was. And now I'm hearing we're not flattening the curve, we're trying to end the curve. And I that was never part of the initial thing. I always understood that we were taking this, very spiking, very sharp upward curve, and we were trying to flatten the same number of cases over a reasonable amount that our hospitals could manage. But we have hospitals that have no patients at all for COVID. So are we just delaying this curve entirely? Like, is the curve going to happen no matter what? I may not be in the camp of how bad this is, but I don't know if it mutates. I don't know if all those fears that we all talk about, we still have these cases that have to go through the system. So if we've flattened it too flat, don't we need to escalate it a little bit? Like,
to get ahead of that second wave is what you're probably thinking about. I know there's talk of that's just, the summer is when this dies off typically for normal flus, and then the fall is when it comes back in. So we're going to do this all again in the fall.
yeah,
Hope not.
get it done now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know our schools are done for the year, and I've even heard some rumors of maybe in the fall too already. But you listen to the people that are more on the positive swing, or you listen to the people that are more on the negative swing, and you can really get lost in the weeds there.
Yeah, my kids are done with school the day they didn't have to go back. We've been fighting them since the second they got home. It's been a nightmare, and I'm sure we're not the only people that are dealing with this. I mean, even with the people who we've homeschooled, so we understand homeschooling. But this is worse than homeschooling because it's not like you got to pick the material and you're prepped the whole situation. We're literally walking into some sort of hybrid thing that no one can do really very well. That's the nightmare piece. The parent is trying to teach something they haven't done any studying on. The teachers are basically, they've got too many kids to try to teach remotely. The learning curve has really gone way down, way down. I don't know. Have you guys experienced that too?
I don't know what to say is because my observations are fairly limited. I've got our kids here at home, even though I'm on a board of a private school here locally. And, I'm talking with other teachers, and we have a, preschooler, and he's still engaged. He's still engaged, and he's still learning and doing quite well. But that's a preschool level versus our high schooler versus our middle school, our elementary schooler. But, I was pleased to see actually how well the teachers have addressed in the public school system here, the scenario or what's happening. They probably have lots of cries behind the scenes. I know I would, or maybe we are having those right now. But, I think one of the things that another approach that was taken as far as recognizing where the kids are at and how they're going to do through this period of time is an OES, another school over here. Everybody's a pass fail. And that's considered one of the schools that, you're darn lucky to apply and get into if you're in a college preparatory situation. And I don't know if that's what you guys are seeing as far as teachers just saying, well, we're going to either get it done this way, everybody's in, or, or you don't.
We're seeing a lot of that. The work's not that hard. Kids are getting easy grades. The parents are, some of the kids don't even have internet. This is crazy. This is an unprecedented event, obviously. So
I think one of the pieces that may pan out here is that we end up rolling right into school during the summer. Well, we know you can get it done in 2 hours in the morning, so why don't we just roll right through the summer and getting some of these kids better educated straight through with no breaks. That's what I'm going for. School all the time.
Hey, okay. So what are we going to do next, you guys? I think we've had some fun here. All right. At least I've been interested in the conversation, and trying to shed some light on what are the numbers. I think the probability of what's going to happen is what I'd like to do next and talk about next. But I think we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about some of those things coming down the pipe. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about how can you get prepared for what's to come and the potential to really take advantage of the market and where it's at right now is what we're loving. Listen to Money on Tap.
Hi, my name is Ben Brayshaw, one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. If you have questions when it comes to your retirement and are looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group. In today's volatile stock market, we can help you plan to find your successful retirement solution. Am I saving enough? Am I saving into the right places? Do my investments match my appetite for risk? Do I have a tax strategy that is going to help me keep more of what I earn? How can I maximize my Social Security income? If you are like most people, you are getting closer and closer to your retirement and may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. If you're in retirement, you may be wondering, am I maximizing my income while preserving my estate and caring for my family? We talk about all things financial in what we call three-dimensional investing, putting a plan around your financial future. If you feel that now is the time to start getting the answers to some of these questions for your own situation, give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551.
Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices throughout New England and across the country. We would love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation just to meet with us, and we welcome you to our office. Call us at 855-226-8551.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. So much good stuff to talk about because, it has been one heck of a roller coaster ride in the market, one heck of a sale on some things. And there's going to be some real winners coming out of this season for us. And, we want to be talking about that stuff. Also, how do you see us rolling out of this, where we're at currently? The numbers that we're starting to see, we're in this earnings season for stocks that are reporting right now, and that's interesting to see. But there's going to be a whole lot of numbers coming at us, and I think we want to be aware of what it's going to look like getting back into the world and how fast or how are we going to do that?
Yeah, Seth, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't think we have a V-shaped recovery. I'm more of the kind of the U-shaped recovery. How long we're down here in the bottom, I'm not sure, but I do think that as we discover that more and more of this potential COVID's not as bad, or that we have more people with antibodies than we realized, and we realize that the death toll is unfortunately a manageable number because the poverty death toll would be much more horrific. I mean, that balancing those things, I'm concerned that we run this thing. I mean, I was reading articles on the Great Depression, and I heard people comparing this to the Great Depression. So, as a financial guy, I'm going digging through this stuff, and they don't have really any great numbers on the number of people that died during the Great Depression, but they know it was in the millions. And I've heard as high as 7 million died from poverty and starvation. Now, when you think about those numbers, and that's basically like half of the size of America today, too. So, or less. So you're talking about a time period where we were half the size or whatever, and millions of people died just from starvation and poverty. If we send ourselves into that deep of a recession or depression, we've got bigger problems than whatever COVID would do. And we got to be careful we don't make that mistake and kill a bunch of people from that, because we have people suffering from depression. I've read articles about abuse situations going on at home. I've heard about all sorts of crazy stuff that's really amplified during this time period. It's very sad. And I think there is a real balance in bringing this back. But I think this U-shaped recession becomes a U-shaped when we either find more antibodies in people, or we find that COVID's not as dangerous, though it is very dangerous to specific people, than we once previously thought. Once we can get that fear base out of our country and out of our society, people will go back very quickly. If we find out that this thing is a mutation disease and that we are going to be going through one version after the other, it's going to become like the flu. And we'll probably adjust a little bit. But if it becomes a multi-million person killer in the United States, we got a whole nother problem, and we do have Great Depression ahead of us. That's my thinking. I think 80,000 people died of the flu last year. I don't know anybody that died of the flu last year. I don't know about you guys. 80,000 people is a lot of people, but it's not the same impact.
I don't know anybody that has died from the flu ever.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I remember when my grandmother was in a nursing home, we went there one week, and there's a bunch of people playing canaster and bridge and talking, and wheelchairs rolling around, people laughing and having fun. I mean, it was a great little place. About 2 weeks later, we went back to visit her. The place was a ghost town. They lost like a third or 2/3 of the people from the flu. So, having elderly people attacked by those types of events are not uncommon, at least from my perspective. But yeah, you're right. It's not like any year I can think back in the recent, so-and-so died of the flu. Like, they died of the flu? But 80,000 Americans did. And I don't know if that number's higher because maybe COVID was already in the U.S. Maybe we didn't even know what we had because it was normally like a 50,000 death toll. So just curious thought.
Yeah, I guess if you were to shape things, U, I might go with a W. I think that's my shape here. I think you have a response than maybe we've already seen it, where we had the market respond last couple of weeks. And, you know, we're going to find out here this next few weeks how things are going to go. That's really, I think it's going to be a pretty short answer here when, at least from the market, what it's seeing happening. What I think is going to, why I say W is I think we've seen the first round of numbers. And I think we have some market response to possibly another $1 trillion coming in and being supportive of those SBA loans not being funded currently. And that could be ultimately what kind of bounces us back out in this marketplace. That coupled with the get back to work, folks mentality, which we're already seeing. We were talking about that just before we even got on air is what's happened, the traffic, right? There was nobody out there driving last week. There's a few more people out there at 5 p.m., right? Driving around, and there's more people walking around the neighborhood. There's just more people that they're doing life, but they're doing it differently, and they're taking that on. We can adapt. We can wash our hands regularly, especially if we're in a sports arena like we talked about before. How many people did we ever walk out of the bathroom that just didn't even wash their hands and disgusted us? I think we're not going to see that type of behavior moving forward, and probably more people in, you know, wearing masks. That's just probably the new thing going forward. I see that happening, and you know, we get other numbers moving through the economy here that are poor around unemployment, that are hard, and we have a response, and I think we see a dip back down. But I don't think we're heading into that Great Depression scenario. I don't believe we as a society could really actually stand by while we have a whole population of ultimately like 14, 20 million that would just be passing away because of poverty currently. And I don't see us possibly even being able to come close to that.
Well, Seth, I mean, when you think about, you know, the fact that we're not sending kids back to school, all those parents who have children, someone's going to have to stay home and work, you know, take care of the kids and try to work from home. And I mean, it's so unproductive for us in the office, and we're managing through it. But you can't. I mean, if every husband and wife works and they have kids, one of them now is unemployed or is employed part-time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is, as far as the adjust happening, is I think we get to a place where there's a little bit more a different slice of reality happening, where people say our kids are going to go to school. They're going to get sick. Our elderly are going to pass away when the flu comes through.
If Governor Sununu is listening to me, he's talking about not opening the beaches this summer. You got to be kidding me. And not sending kids back to school. Washington. That's ridiculous. Right? That's absolutely absurd. Vitamin D helps kill stuff like this. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, I'm embarrassed that New Hampshire, live free or die, is actually swallowing this with our governor. I mean, I'm sorry, but we don't have any COVID cases. Hospitals are laying people off in New Hampshire. We need to get back to work.
You can already tell as there's a hint of each state talking about their reopening plan. The market's creeping up a little bit. It's been happening the past couple of days. And so every time next week, we're going to get these updates for how these governors are going to handle it. I don't think they end up closing the beaches. I just don't. I mean, yeah, they talked about that, but it's only going to get better from here, it seems, right? And the other thing that I thought was interesting was all the uproar about people going to the beach. I don't know about you, but I'm not running into other families and just hugging on them and just grabbing their hand and we're frolicking in the water together. We're all socially distanced when we go to the beach.
I want to know if you were doing that before.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Get that on film.
We're not all, hey, come over here. Let's play tackle football with this other family that we don't know. I mean, it's no, everybody's keeping to themselves anyway at the beach naturally. So what are people worried about?
I know it's absolutely nuts. I mean, even the Michigan governor, I mean, she's closed everything. I mean, they actually had a huge, drive-by petition going on or something. Thousands upon thousands of cars were driving by. She closed everything. She wouldn't even let you buy a gallon of paint to paint your house. It's pretty scary that we've taken. If you are a tragically, if you're in New York City, shut in, stay home, do what you need to do. You got hundreds of thousands of people sick. You got to figure it out. The rest of us need to keep working so that we can keep this country as afloat as we possibly can. And we need to get some leaders in this country who understand how to manage this, understand how to get us back, and to figure out how to push this through. You can't have everyone sitting at home. It's just not healthy. It's not good for our economy. It's not good for our persons. It's a bad example. But we should probably jump into some of the investing stuff, Seth, that we were chatting about sharing too.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. What are we gonna do? Like what's the new normal? Like if we can kind of wrap our head around that and how we're gonna get out of this thing, and what was happening. First of all, I want to ask what was going on before this ever happened that we were looking at and saying, I think that's good, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is tech has always been kind of the spiker on a lot of this stuff. And I think tech is interesting. In some of our managed portfolios, we had done some pretty interesting moves, Seth, and we were going to share some of those. And we had some tactical management that went to cash kind of on the way down, which was really nice. And that was helpful because when the Dow hit about 18,000 and we called bottom, we started to looking for enough of an increase that showed stability that we could buy in. And we took some of that cash and we started reallocating. First of all, we bought some energy. We bought some energy ETFs and tried to play that space. We also made some allocations to, I think we used XLE, Seth. I think that was the energy ETF symbol we used. We also realized that muni bonds were oversold, and we stepped from the corporate side a bit and purchased MUB, which was an interesting muni bond play. Saw some pretty nice recovery in that during the fear that maybe these municipalities wouldn't be able to pay back. So that was a nice little positive. We also took some space in the NASDAQ, the QQQ, believing that tech is going to be a roaring future for us, especially remote tech, but without trying to figure out whether we're going to pick Zoom or Blue this or Blue that, all the different, Ring Central. We went full straight QQQ basing on tech. The other thing that's interesting is the Russell 2000 has been a kind of a consistent recovery zone. 2008, post 9/11. It's been a place that's shown a lot of the kind of the first substance in recovery. So we did take a position there, I think, Seth, right?
I was thinking about the infrastructure plays that we were already saying, hey, we like these spaces. We're already a part of these spaces, but I think taking some bigger positions in some of those infrastructure, 5G is a big part of technology moving forward. And the critical infrastructure industries, I think, are parts of those bigger pictures that we've liked a lot. There's been kind of like a dollar for dollar relationship with a lot of the marketplace because it just all got sold. And so it's interesting to see what have been leaders out and what have kind of been laggards and staying where they are. So right now, your cruise lines and your airlines, a bit of a bounce, but they've kind of been holding where they're at. And I think that what's going to be interesting to those is to see what do some of the numbers moving forward look like for them.
And I think we're not recommending people to go buy airlines or go buy cruise ships and so forth, because you know what? Any one of those companies is going to go out of business.
Super speculative.
Yeah, and I think the cruise ships, we're talking super danger. And be prepared to see those dollars just go. But, they're selling bonds. As long as their bonds can sell, there's a lot of likelihood that some of them will recover to what that is. If people want to float around in the ocean on a petri dish, and I think there will be a lot of them that don't really care.
Got to be a ton of them. Can't wait.
80 million more Americans. Yeah, there's some real probability there. But, don't go out and race and put your money in this. This is not retirement funds. This is pure gamble, and that's not where you want to be.
Thanks for joining us today. You've been listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Also, we're in a podcast. You can find us at any of the podcast venues out there. We appreciate the likes and the listens. We're also at Facebook at /3D Investing and Twitter at BFG_LLC. We appreciate you joining us here today, and we hope you make it a great day and a great life. Thanks for joining us with Money on Tap.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.
Well, bye.